Hey, what's up guys? Gons here for the Face Like the Sun channel. So as you guys might have heard, there was a massive hack at Twitter where a bunch of accounts got taken over. The list of names that were hacked include Joe Biden, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Kanye West, Michael Bloomberg, Jeff Bezos, Apple, Uber, Coinbase, Coindesk, Ripple, Binance, Gemini, Wiz Khalifa, Cash App, and more. But the thing that people need to realize here is that it looks like all of the checkmark Twitter accounts were hacked. And it revealed a couple things. One, that Twitter checkmarked accounts are sitting on different servers than the rest of the people that use Twitter. Now, according to Twitter, they confirmed one thing, which is that the attack wasn't the result of a sophisticated technological vulnerability, nor was each user's account compromised individually. Instead, the company says it was the victim of a coordinated social engineering attack by people who successfully targeted some of our employees with access to internal systems and tools. And according to Michael Borochovsky, the director of software engineering at the cybersecurity company Synopsys, said, quote, given the numerous high-profile Twitter accounts were compromised as part of this attack, accounts that would presumably be protected by multi-factor authentication and strong passwords, it is highly likely that the attackers were able to hack into the back-end or service layer of the Twitter application. And they also believe that this was some kind of social engineering attack. Now, I was going live with Canary Cry News Talk with Basil as this was unfolding, and I actually took a screenshot of Elon's tweet here, and my first initial response was, scam alert, Elon's account was hacked, because if you've been around cryptocurrencies, you know that, hey, I'll send you twice as much Bitcoin as the amount of Bitcoin you send me. That's the modus operandi of every cryptocurrency hacker or scammer. And the thing is, this scammer only got like $100,000. I say only, it's still a lot of money, but considering the fact that they hacked so many huge accounts, they only made out with $100,000. And I feel sorry for those people that actually sent Bitcoin to this address, because if you own Bitcoin and you don't know about this scam, you're not paying attention. Not only that, but if you've been on YouTube recently and you subscribe to cryptocurrency channels, there have been a ton of cryptocurrency scam live streams where they stream, famous people or whatever, and they say, oh, 10,000 Bitcoin giveaway and all this kind of stuff. Just send us your Bitcoin to this address and we'll send you back double the Bitcoin. Ooh, like this one right here. Let's see, $500 million Bitcoin giveaway from the alleged VeChain Foundation. No, this is a scam. I don't know why YouTube allows this kind of thing to continue to happen here. But if you ever see this kind of thing, report it, because these guys need to be taken out. And look at here. This is a interview with Nuggets News, I think, with the Sunny Liu, the guy from VeChain. And same thing. They have a VeChain address, or this is actually, it looks like an Ethereum address. And it says here that, oh, you send 50,000 VeChain, we'll send back 100,000 VeChain. This is a scam. If you ever see any of this, report it. I'll do the reporting right now as I record this. Misleading, spam, scam, fraud, next. This entire live stream is a scam. Please do something about this. YouTube. Too many scammers streaming live on your platform. And the thing that's crazy about Bitcoin is that you can actually see what's inside the wallet. And I talk about this in a Patreon post I made called Something Different, Learning About Bitcoin, Bible Prophecy, and My Crypto Portfolio, where I go over just briefly what Bitcoin's all about and try to explain in layman's terms how the technology works. And I recorded an entire audio for this, but real briefly, I'll just read through a couple paragraphs of this because I think it's worth noting. I said, our money is already digital. They are numbers on a screen, but to access that money, you need to have an account with a bank. All types of personal and private information is required to access your digital dollars. We are unable to just cut and paste our digital dollars because of this computerized centralization. It requires an authorization of the banks to transfer funds. If it wasn't for this centralized authorization, anyone can just cut and paste digital dollars from one account to another, and people will be able to endlessly create digital money out of thin air. But the creation of digital dollars out of thin air is something only central banks can already do. This exclusive ability to do so allows them to maintain control of the entire worldwide monetary system. Remember that the US dollar is the world reserve currency. In other words, it already is a sort of one world currency. If other nations or organizations were able to print dollars out of thin air, the Federal Reserve would lose their power and authority over the entire world economy. Think of the early days of P2P file sharing like Napster. The problem, or the breakthrough, depending on how you looked at it, was that anyone and everyone can just cut and paste digital files of music to share with one another. If I had a Metallica song on MP3, I can share the file with someone else and they would have a copy of that song. It created multiple copies of the music without any authorization. It duplicated the file endlessly, just like how digital money could, in theory, be duplicated endlessly, which is called double spending. What Bitcoin solved was this issue of double spending of the digital currency without a centralized authority. In other words, it created digital scarcity. And I explain more here, and this is the part that's relevant to this hack. I said the thing about the Bitcoin network is that every transaction is publicly verifiable. The public is able to audit transactions. Anyone in the world can go on the Bitcoin Block Explorer, look up a transaction, and see the number of confirmations it has on the network. The further back a transaction goes, starting in 2009, the more confirmations there are. However, you cannot verify who made those transactions or for what purchase or exchange it was made for in the real world. The analogy presented by one Bitcoin proponent, Andreas Antonopoulos, is a series of lockers made out of clear glass. Everyone can see how much money is inside each locker, and everyone can see when money moves from one locker to another one, but no one knows who actually owns those lockers. Actually, you can figure that stuff out, or whether one person owns one locker or several hundred lockers. In this analogy, a single locker is a Bitcoin wallet. A Bitcoin wallet consists of a public key, which is kind of like a locker number, and a private key, a type of PIN code to access the locker. In the case of Bitcoin, a 77-digit PIN. There can be an infinite number of Bitcoin wallets created, and the only way to access the wallet is via a private key. One person can own multiple wallets or just one, and with something called multi-signature wallets, it's even possible for multiple people to own one wallet. This makes Bitcoin pseudo-anonymous, as again, the transactions themselves are public for anyone to see, but the identity of those making the moves are not. And that's really key here. If you look at the address of the hacker here, you can see that there is 12.8625 Bitcoin that was sent or received in this wallet, and they sent out 12.853. And you can see a lot of these transactions going out are unconfirmed, and it's because they're sending just small amounts of Bitcoin to probably, I don't know, hundreds, maybe thousands of wallets, and that's how hackers do it. They basically receive the Bitcoin, and then they send it, they spread that Bitcoin out into just, I don't know, hundreds, thousands of wallets so that it's hard to track, and it makes it more difficult for the authorities to track down. But it is possible, and there are vulnerabilities if this person happens to use one of the wallets or one of the addresses and cashes out, they'll be able to track down where, who, all this kind of stuff. But it takes a lot of resources, and it's definitely a lot harder to do than you'd think. Now again, I was watching this hack or this tweet go out in real time, and I actually posted in my Patreon, did Elon's Twitter account get hacked? Scam alert. And I explained what happened here, and when I was going through it, there was only 1.6688987 Bitcoin in the address, and as I refreshed during the post, it went up to 1.69, so people were sending Bitcoin to this address to the point where there was actually 12.86 Bitcoin sent to this address eventually, and then again he sent out 12.85, spreading it around a whole bunch of different addresses as he's trying to do here. But let me give you my theory about what this actually was. And this is just my theory, okay? I don't have too many hard pieces of evidence to suggest that this is true per se, but I think it might be some kind of false flag event. And when I say false flag, I mean some kind of misdirection here. Or it's some kind of stress test. Because recently, one of the biggest on-ramps to cryptocurrency, a company called Coinbase, was rewarded a contract by the US Secret Service to use its blockchain analytics software. And they've actually been using it for a couple months here. And it says here that Coinbase says that its analytics software doesn't use any internal customer data. They also claim that the software obtains data only from publicly available or external information. And that's what I'm talking about. Information from the blockchain itself. And if you can identify or connect a wallet address with a real life person, then you're able to nail down who actually did this. And really, if you think about it, 12.86 Bitcoin in US dollars, that's $117,000, $461.31. That's not that much money. I mean, it's a lot of money, don't get me wrong, But for a hack that was able to take over Bill Gates' account and who else was it? Kanye West and Jeff Bezos. For a hack that big, $117,000 is not that much money. And that's why it makes me think this is something else. I don't think this guy was in it for the money. Now, one thing that's interesting about this hacker, and we'll see if this happens as of this recording, I don't think it has, although it looks like there's some transactions taking place even as I record this, but the hacker could, in theory, send back the Bitcoin that was accepted into this wallet back to the wallets that sent the Bitcoin in the first place. So the people that got scammed out of their Bitcoin, technically this address or somebody else, whoever controls this, can send it back to the people that got scammed. And those people that got scammed can get their money back. And something to keep in mind here, the format of the Bitcoin address that was used for the hack is BEC32. And BEC32 is something that less than 1% of Bitcoin is stored in. It's otherwise known as native SegWit, and it's the latest step in the address formats. It's even more weight efficient than its predecessor. This means having an even faster transaction speed versus SegWit transactions, better scalability, and even lower fees per transaction. And again, not many people are using it yet, but this person used it, which means they are savvy enough to use the latest format to exist for Bitcoin wallet addresses. So again, my theory here is that this hack, quote unquote, was, number one, maybe a stress test to see how vulnerable the entire Twitter ecosystem is, because this article here from The Guardian talks about how often this type of hack takes place, with Elon giving the 666 OK sign there. But I also think this might be one of these false flag tests to see how well some of this type of software program that the Secret Service just got their hands on, to see how well it works. And, it's entirely possible that this was some kind of inside job as a way to find out if their investments, which for whatever reason, this is just so weird to me. According to the records, the Secret Service has finalized a $183,750 contract to use Coinbase Analytics for a 4-year period. $183,000? That's it? I mean, again, that's still a lot of money. But all things considered, a contract with the Secret Service and it's not even $250,000? Just very weird to me. And the fact that this hacker only got, again, 12, a little under 13 Bitcoin out of this whole endeavor. Maybe I've watched too much science fiction or, these hacker movies and shows and stuff. But it's possible that one of these insider people at Twitter were paid a lot of money to do this hack to not only, again, show the vulnerabilities, but also to test how well their surveillance apparatus for Bitcoin works, especially with the latest and most secure Bitcoin address format. And of course, the other part of this that, more people are going to focus on is the political side and, how politicians are jumping all over this and jumping all over Twitter. And I'm sure there's screenshots of DMs that were sent by these very famous and powerful people. That kind of stuff can surface later in a WikiLeaks type of situation. And all that stuff is also relevant to this. And the last thought here is part of my theory. If we're thinking about the Hegelian dialectic here, I mentioned in my post on Patreon, which you guys can get for, as little as $1 a month. You can jump in there. I'm going to try to post a little bit more there just because YouTube is basically shutting down the channel. But right now, you don't need a mark on the right hand or the forehead to access your Bitcoin. But I think what they're going to try to do, obviously what they're going to try to do, is to create some kind of biometric tie to your identity and make that the pathway to access all of your digital money. And the problem here, though, is that Bitcoin doesn't require any kind of digital authorization by any kind of centralized entity. No government, no bank, no centralized authority is required for you to access Bitcoin. Yes, you need the internet, the EMPs. I address all of that in this post here that I made on Patreon, Something Different, Learning About Bitcoin Bible Prophecy in My Crypto Portfolio, where I share my crypto holdings. And I also recorded a 42-minute audio version of this article because it's pretty long. But it's crazy because I published it on July 14th, and this major hack happens a day after, July 15th, tax day. And I just think it was really relevant to all the stuff that I discussed in this post. So again, I think this is a stress test, a type of false flag hack to see how well the security is, but also see how well the tracking software of the public blockchain works to try to nail down, bad actors. Because remember, they took down a pedo ring based on Bitcoin movement. And I know people think, oh, Bitcoin is all used for black markets and all this kind of stuff. Yes, but also cash is used way more for laundering and black market and crimes and all kinds of stuff. Cash is king when it comes to all that stuff. So when people talk about a cashless society and push it as fear, yes, I don't think it's good to have a totally cashless society, but also think about what you're saying, because the world is pretty much cashless. If you've used a debit card or credit card, you're already using digital money. So in any case, I just wanted to share some of my thoughts and theories about this entire situation as it relates to biblical prophecy. Join me on Patreon to get some of those exclusive posts. Again, you can start at just $1 a month to support this ministry and to get some of the information that will eventually go public. But for now, I'm just going to share it with people that are supporting the channel. That's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate you watching this. Have an awesome day. God bless.